Organizing your speech. This is one of the quickest ways to be successful in public speaking, as well as reduce the stress so many people feel from public speaking. Organizing is what you do before you do something, so that when you do it, it's not all mixed up. And you've seen public speakers that don't organize their speech. YouTube is full of them. And you can tell the problem that they have is they have no flow to what they're saying. If you take that time, you organize, you prepare, you're going to take that research and that other work that you've done beforehand and get it into a format where your audience will truly enjoy what you're sharing with them. In our preview, we're going to talk about organizing the speech, purpose and points, patterning, and finally the outline, what the outline will look like. Organizing your speech. For this case, 3 is absolutely the magic number. When we're talking about a person's ability to remember something, we're talking about the fact that they need to take it from short-term memory, which only lasts a few seconds, into long-term memory and information they can use in the future. For this reason, everything should be in sets of 3. And this will take that from the short to the long term. You'll notice as you're going through all these presentations, all these lectures I've done for the semester, I do this. I have sets of 3s throughout. My first thing I do with my introduction is I give you that preview. Then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. Finally, I'm going to do that review and tell you what I told you. Sets of 3 are also the reason why numbers are usually broken down into 3s like area codes or phone numbers. Even though the 4-digit at the end is a little bit longer, but you have 3, 3, and then 4. So keeping it in this type of format, 3 becomes a magic number. Organizing your speech, the speech overview. That is absolutely the very first part you're going to put together. You want to have an overview, an idea of where you're going. So you're going to have 3 parts, as we were mentioning. You're going to start with the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. This will allow you to organize your thoughts into a flowing pattern that gets your audience where you want to take them. The foundation of the speech starts with determining the purpose. Why are you giving this speech? It's really easy in this class because I tell you with a purpose. We'll start off with an introduction, then let's do a networking, and from a networking we'll move into a celebratory, and then from there we'll move into an informative and a persuasive. Those are all your purposes. You might have purposes outside of class that perhaps you need to introduce yourself to a group. Perhaps at work you need to build up some type of informative speech, or perhaps you have to do a persuasive speech at work. So all 3 of these are different types of purposes that you can absolutely utilize. It's one of the first things. From there, we're going to develop our thesis statement. What is their main goal? Are we going to educate them about? I'm going to teach you about public speaking. There we go. That's a quick and easy thesis statement. Thesis statement, 1 or 2 sentences. Keep it concise, keep it to the point. Don't be vague, be concrete so that people know exactly what you're doing. And then you're going to develop your main points. I'm going to teach you about public speaking by first going over the introduction, then I'm going to talk about the body of the speech, and then end with that conclusion. Simple. Just follow this, it'll help you along. Patterns are the organizational flow that you create within a speech that takes your audience from the introduction to the conclusion. The primary area that you run into the pattern is when you hit the body of the speech. And the book provides 6 different ones that we'll talk about, so you can see how you can attach those or how you may want to work those when you create your speeches. The first pattern is spatial, or it's a spatial one. It's used to organize the speech by location. I like to think of this one as the tour guide, because if you're a tour guide, you're going to go by what location you're in, rather than try to bounce around the city or skip areas based on dates, things of that variety. So think of yourself as being a tour guide. And so While we're here at the campus, we want to talk about the campus. When we move to the library, we'll talk about the library. When we move to the fitness center, we'll talk about the fitness center. Simple. It's an easy way to guide your audience through a speech. Temporal, also called chronological, and it's based on a flow through time. It can be such as a historical arrangement. The campus was founded in 1967, and in 1975 they built and you can see how you can move through simple chronological. This also works in your narrative arrangement, such as storytelling. You have to begin with that exposition, and from the exposition you move into what is the rising tension and the conflict, and this creates a simple flow through the story. You don't start at the end, move to the middle, skip around, and go back to the beginning. No, you want it to be a simple flow for people. So temporal or chronological is a very common one to use. Next, they talk about topical. So you might be in a library. This is how you have your science fiction over here, you have your fiction over here, you have your nonfiction, and it's broken up based on what category or topic it falls into. Now, when you start looking at a speech, because you're not limited to location, such as in a library or on a campus, things of those things, what you want to be able to do is arrange aspects of it for impact with your audience. I think of this kind of as an archaeologist, because when an archaeologist talks about their discoveries, they usually start off with one that's a good attention getter, one that people will be like, ooh, yeah, that's kind of neat. And then they give kind of the mundane things. Oh, we found a bowl, and we found a spoon, and we found some other instruments that were kind of interesting in this layer. And then they hit you with but the really huge find was. And if you organize this way, what you do is you draw in your audience's attention. That first thing that they hear will be one of the things they will remember. The middle section we have a tendency to have a hard time remembering. So that's why they kind of put the so-so information there. But that last information is absolutely what they will recall. It's called the recency effect, and the most recent information is usually the thing you hold on to the most. The beginning information, you haven't filled up your mind with all the data yet, so you remember the first part pretty well. That middle part can become foggy, so that's why we organize in this way. That also applies to these patterns. Problem solution. You have a problem, you provide a solution. In this case, those problem solution will tie back up to your thesis. So perhaps your thesis is we need safer highways. So in order to do safer highways, perhaps the first problem is high speed on the highways. So your solution is increased law enforcement. The second problem we have perhaps is cars that are broke down or cars that have mechanical malfunctions, and your solution is to require some type of testing for the car. And then your third one would be inattentive drivers, and that would be the thing you really want people to stick with, and then you can provide your great solution there. Cause and effect. Simple. It's similar to problem and solution. You have this that causes something else, and in order to address it, you have to address the causes in order to change the outcome. Rambling. I don't recommend this one because it really is confusing. I think they threw it in the book on the basis that they've seen someone successfully ramble. But when you think about rambling, I normally imagine movies where characters just kind of goes off and you don't know what they're talking about, and then somehow they tie it together at the end. Kind of the Karate Kid one where, oh, why am I waxing the car? And then at the end you see, oh, he was doing all those standard things because at the end it ties into moves that he needed for karate. So that's where rambling can be, but it's difficult to do. Outlining your speech. Develop a preparation outline. You absolutely do need a rough draft, because that rough draft will absolutely help you create a foundation to build upon so you can give that successful speech. As you'll notice, if you look in the content tab on our homepage, that you can locate my rough drafts. I go through each book that I get for a course, and I go and I outline it. I say, okay, what's the main point? What are the next points? And I break that down. And from there, I'm able to expand upon it in the lecture to provide you with information. And then from that, I have a speaking outline, which goes directly onto the PowerPoints. So you'll see how preparation, that rough draft, is key. Because otherwise I end up with that rambling, and I just hope at the end somehow I can tie it all together. That's not what we want. We want to have a solid outline. The standard full sentence outline is what comes after that rough draft. And there is a reason for that. You want to see how your introduction and your attention getting device play out. How does it sound when you write it out? What is your thesis? Is it a solid thesis? Is it a good thesis? And then from there, you're going to have your preview. Simple, as we've demonstrated in the class. Then the body of your speech, you're going to have at least 3 main points. You can have between 3 to 5, but the problem you run into is, remember, with a recency effect, yes, people remember the first topic, first point pretty well. The middle gets a little bit foggy because that information comes across and then we exit out into new information. So when you end up with more than 3, that middle section can really be lost, and there could be 2 or 3 points you're losing in there. So you don't want to do that. The third main point, that's the one that's the most recent, people will recall, so you want to make sure you have that there. Organizing your speech. Absolutely, this is important. When you hit to that conclusion, you transition into it, signal that you're coming to an end for your audience so they don't go, oh, where are we at? What's happening? So you can say, here's my first point, second point, third point, and now that we've discussed these points, let's draw this to a conclusion. Let's move to the finish. Let me leave you with my main thoughts. And in so doing, you can then go over your review, and then you can absolutely and should stick something that leaves your audience going, I want to think about that when I leave, because by thinking about it, I'm going to remember more of the speech. So you want to have that mic drop moment where the audience is just like, ooh, yes, I loved that information. And by doing this, it truly helps. When you're outlining, you're going to have to remember certain aspects. As you're moving towards a preparation outline, this is actually going to be what you're submitting to me as an outline. It's going to include full sentences. The reason why we go with full sentences, even though you're not memorizing it, is because you can then read through it and see how it sounds, if it has a rhythm, if it makes sense, if your audience is going to be able to retain it. So when you write this full sentence outline, you can go through and actually almost hum it or mumble it. And you can see, yes, okay, it flows really well. Or you can go da 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 dun 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 dun, and you're like, wait a minute, there's a clunky part, and that'll give you a chance to modify that clunky part and perhaps to move around your main points in the body of the speech. Full sentence outline is important because it actually lets you catch things. It is also where you're going to put your references, and to make sure you are giving proper references to avoid trouble with plagiarism. When you present, you're not going to read to me your full sentence outline. I don't want that at all, because we really want extemporaneous speaking. When we talked about building up information when you're doing research, what you're doing is you're taking that wealth of information, that bank of information that you did in research, and you're putting it into the preparation or full sentence outline. And in doing so, you end up with a very strong speech. And when you get up to present, you might forget something from it. And that's okay, because you actually overfilled it. You put a lot of information in there, and if you forget 1 or 2 minor details, that's all right. And you won't stress about forgetting them, because if you speak extemporaneously, conversationally, with bullet points from what we're going to talk about next, when you're presenting, you won't have to worry about, oh no, I lost my place. I looked up to give eye contact to my audience. Now I have to find where I'm at on my page. No, that really creates a lot of troubles in public speaking. So do the full sentence outline, submit it to me so you can get a grade on it, but do the next step. And that next step is your speaking outline. This is where you bullet point your speech. All right, you filled up in that full sentence of preparation outline all the information you want to share. What will trick your mind into going to that? 1 or 2 words that make it really quick so you can put it on a note card, you can put it on your cell phone, and just glance at it for a second and see where you're at. If there's only 4 or 5 lines there, you won't lose your place when you do eye contact. So 1, 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there of information that, yes, that absolutely sparks that memory. I can now speak on it. So focus on key points to cue memory. And if you have an important quote or statistic, do write those out. Those are the only things on your cue cards or your note cards that you want to have completely written out, because you don't want to get them wrong. As well as if you have a key statistic, yes, write the statistic, but you might also want to throw in your in-text citation, so that way people know where you got your information from. Organizing your speech, like I said, you can put this on cue cards, you can put it on a cell phone. Don't put it on a piece of paper, because a piece of paper looks like you're waving a white flag of surrender, or it gets crumply, or it becomes a distraction for you and it limits your gesturing. So you want to have full gesturing. So don't use a full sheet of paper. Don't use your full sentence outline. Don't use that one, because you have a tendency to read from it, and that really draws out energy. People have a hard time reading with excitement and energy, and you want that in your speech. So you don't want to be, hi, this is my introduction speech. I want to tell you about the time where I'm lost. You don't want that. So what you want is just having that key word, and practice your speech, how you will deliver it. So yes, you're going to read that full sentence outline and make sure it all flows, make sure it has a rhythm, make sure it sounds good. But that's not practice for your speech. We actually need to do practice for your speech. Put that aside, get out your note cards, get out your cell phone, whatever device you're using, and practice presenting with just the key words to make sure that you get the minimum time and you don't go over the maximum time. Review. Yes, we want to talk about organizing your speech, purpose and points, patterning, and outlining of your speech. If you deliberately plan on being less than you are capable of being, then I warn you, you'll be unhappy the rest of your life. You'll also really struggle with speeches. If you're planning on doing the bare minimum, I'll just do a keyword outline and I'll use that throughout. No, you'll have a lot of trouble. When you build up expertise in an area and knowledge, and you do some research and you spoke on this topic 50 times, sometimes you get away with just having that rough draft that you move to a keyword. But for the most part, you need that full sentence outline. So plan on building that foundation for your speeches.